If you bought a newly built house within the last 5 years, then I'm sorry to say there is a high possibility that its walls have started to deteriorate. And it was you who signed the contract, making all subsequent issues your responsibility, not the contractor's. The warranty only lasts for 12 months. The mortgage loan lasts for 30 years. The huge gap between these two figures is not a mistake. It is the product. In every model home in the U.S., you will hear a term that sounds very credible: builder grade. But in reality, it's not a certification, not an industry standard, not a quality commitment. It only means the minimum level for the house to be legally sold and terminate the contractor's responsibility as soon as you sign the contract. In this video, we will dissect the entire builder grade scam system, how houses look luxurious on the outside, but are actually built like a temporary stage set. Don't be surprised if the house you just bought might be part of this system. When hearing the term builder grade, many people think it is a type of quality certification. It sounds like a high-end technical standard, like when you buy a phone with water resistance certification or a car with safety standards. But in reality, the story is quite different. Builder grade is not a certification. It's not a quality standard either. Simply put, builder grade just means the minimum level of materials sufficient to pass building regulations and sell the house. Imagine this. If building a house were like taking a test, then builder grade would not be a 9 or a 10. It's just a passing grade, about 5.5 points. The house still stands firm, the walls are still straight, the door can still be opened. But everything inside is designed according to a very simple philosophy: as cheap as possible, as long as it's still valid. For example, many builder grade materials in new homes, such as kitchen cabinets, vinyl flooring, or faucet sets, typically have a lifespan of about 10 to 15 years. It doesn't sound too bad, but let's put that number alongside another detail. The average home loan lasts 30 years. That means while you are still paying for the house, some of the internal components have already entered their second half of life. Jokingly, it's like buying a car on a 30-year installment plan, but the engine is designed to run for only 10 years. Sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? And here's the interesting part. Builder grade does not exist to create the most durable house. It exists to create a house that looks the best on the day you sign the contract. That's why, in advertisements, model homes, and on social media, everything looks perfect. But behind that layer of drywall is a completely different story. So, I'm a bit curious. Have you ever heard the term builder grade before? Or did you only start paying attention to it after buying or renovating a house? Because when we take a closer look at each component of modern houses, from the kitchen cabinets, floors to the windows, and technical systems, you will start to see how this system operates. And once you understand it, you will never look at a new house the same way again. In the next section, we will start with a very familiar place in every home: the kitchen, where the concept of builder grade is most evident. To understand why the concept of builder grade is so prevalent today, we need to turn back the clock about 30-40 years. Back then, building a house was often like making a handcrafted wooden table. The builders live right in the community where they work. Their names are displayed on the project board. Their children study at the nearby school. If a house has a problem, the neighbor will know right away, and their reputation will be the same. Therefore, each house is like a huge business card made of bricks and wood. Quality is not just about cost. It is about prestige. Nowadays, the picture has changed a lot. In the U.S., only a few large corporations have built nearly 1/3 of the new houses each year. If you imagine 3 new houses in a neighborhood, there's a chance that one of them comes from the same group of large companies. Interestingly, these companies do not operate like a traditional craft workshop. They operate like a massive logistics system. Think of online delivery. Thousands of orders, speed-optimized processes, everything standardized to run as fast as possible. In large-scale construction, that mindset also emerges. Instead of each house being a masterpiece, it becomes a product on an assembly line. And when everything is optimized for speed and cost, a very practical question will arise. How can the house still meet construction standards, but at the lowest possible cost? That's where builder grade comes into the picture. Not because someone wants to build a low-quality house, but because the modern system rewards faster, cheaper, and more repeatable solutions. If you've ever walked past a newly built neighborhood, you might have noticed this. The houses often look quite similar, like cakes cut from the same mold. And this leads to an interesting question. In your opinion, what is more important when building a house today? Long-lasting durability or project completion speed? Because in the next section, we will step into the place that most clearly embodies this builder-grade philosophy. Not the roof, not the foundation of the house, but rather a place very familiar to every family, the model home, where everything looks so perfect that sometimes it resembles a stage setup very intricately. Try to remember the first time you stepped into a model home. Soft lighting, shiny wooden floor. The kitchen island is white stone, just like in cooking shows on TV. The living room is so spacious that you feel your family must live here. It must be wonderful. But there is one detail that very few people notice. Most of those model homes contain upgrades worth about $50,000 to $100,000 compared to the standard version. To make it easier to visualize, that's equivalent to the price of a new car parked right in the living room, but you won't see it in the advertisement price list. And here's the interesting part. The model house is not just for displaying the design, it is staged like a film set. Every detail has a purpose. Scented candles to create a cozy atmosphere. The furniture is chosen to be slightly smaller so that the room looks more spacious. The towels are folded perfectly like in a hotel. All these details are not meant to explain the structure of the house. They aim to activate your emotions. In other words, the model home is designed to make you think, I'm not just buying a house, I'm buying a lifestyle. And when the emotions have been activated, the next step of the journey usually takes place in a place called the design center. Imagine you step into a room filled with hundreds of material samples, tiles, kitchen cabinets, countertops, door handles, pendant lights. An upgrade menu starts to appear. Upgraded flooring, around $8,000. Upgraded kitchen cabinets, around $2,000. Better stone countertop, around $6,000. A house advertised for $389,000 can quickly become $430,000 or more. In the real estate industry, this tactic is sometimes jokingly referred to as an opening price, a figure enticing enough to get you in. And then other options start to appear. Interestingly, most buyers do not feel like they are spending extra. They feel like they are saving the house from the standard version. So I'm a bit curious. If you've ever gone to see a model house, did you feel that the actual house upon handover was different from your initial impression? Because when we start to look more closely at the basic materials inside, from the kitchen cabinets, flooring to small fixtures like faucets, you will see a clearer picture of how this system operates. And the first place where the concept of builder grade becomes most apparent is the kitchen cabinets. By now, we have heard quite a bit about the term builder grade. But the more important question is, what does it actually look like in a house? If opening a new house is like unwrapping a multi-layered cake, then builder grade often appears in the layers that are not immediately visible, and it often manifests most clearly in four familiar areas: kitchen cabinets, flooring, appliances, and windows. First is kitchen cabinets, where luxury begins to thin out. In many new homes, builder-grade kitchen cabinets are often made from particle board or MDF. If these names sound technical, just imagine it's like wood dust compressed with glue, then covered with a thin layer of plastic. Does it look good? Of course. Posting photos online still looks quite dazzling. But the average lifespan of this type of cabinet is usually around 10 to 15 years. Meanwhile, natural wood cabinets from artisanal workshops can last 30 to 50 years, nearly the lifespan of an entire generation of a family. Interestingly, when standing a few steps away from the kitchen cabinet, the two types look 90–95% alike, and that is the crux of builder grade. The appearance is similar, but the internal structure is completely different. Next is the flooring. In many standard packages, the flooring is often vinyl, plank, or thin carpet. They have the advantages of quick installation, low cost, and looking quite similar to real wood. The common lifespan of this type of flooring is around 10 to 25 years. To compare, natural wood floors or engineered hardwood can last 20 to 80 years and can even be sanded and refinished multiple times. The price difference may seem small when viewed per square meter, but when multiplied by the entire floor area of a house, like adding up every penny in a long bill, that difference can become a very significant number. Now let's talk about the smaller things that are every place. Faucets, door handles, door locks. Many famous brands often have various product lines. There is a standard line for large projects, a retail line, and a premium line. From the outside, the logo still looks the same. The shape is also quite similar. But on the inside, the materials and durability can differ significantly. Jokingly, it's like two phones with the same exterior, but the brains inside are different. Finally, there are the windows. In many mass construction projects, windows are often of standard size, installed quickly to save time. This helps the project be completed on schedule, but sometimes it also results in suboptimal insulation or soundproofing. Imagine a jacket with a slightly loose zipper. Just a small gap is enough for the wind to get in. Windows are the same. So, I want to ask you one thing. When buying a house, do you usually pay more attention to the exterior design or the hidden materials inside the walls and floors? Because in the next part, we will talk about a fact that shocks many people. The lifespan of many materials in a new house, sometimes much shorter than the time you have to pay for that house. At this point, we have touched upon the most thought-provoking part of the entire story. The biggest issue does not lie in the kitchen cabinets peeling easily, the floor scratching easily, or the faucet deteriorating quickly. The biggest issue is that the lifespan of many materials in a new house is much shorter than the time you have to pay for the house itself. Let's put a few numbers side by side to see this more clearly. Standard flooring, about 10 to 25 years. Builder-grade kitchen cabinets, about 10 to 15 years. Devices such as faucets, locks, and accessories, about 5 to 10 years. What about the home loan? 30 years. In other words, you are signing a financial commitment that lasts 3 decades, but many things inside the house are designed with a lifespan similar to a phone, a sofa, or a motorcycle that starts needing parts replaced after a few years. That's the point that makes many people feel dissatisfied, because they realize they are not buying a stable asset for 30 years, but sometimes buying a house with many layers of materials that need to be replaced midway, even multiple times before the debt is paid off. And the irony lies here. The things that deteriorate the fastest are often the ones you touch every day. The kitchen cabinet doors open and close. The floor is constantly being walked on. The faucet turns on and off every morning. The windows endure the sun, wind, and humidity year-round. That is, the feeling of the house aging comes very early, sometimes just after a few years, even though on paper you are still living in a new house. That's why many people have a very strange feeling. The house is still new in age, but the user experience has already started to age. So I want to ask you a very honest question. If you had to choose, would you prefer a house that looks really beautiful on the handover day? Or a less glamorous house but durable for 20-30 years? Because when the lifespan of materials and the lifespan of loans no longer align, we are forced to ask the next question. Who truly benefits from this model? And why does the system continue to exist? At this point, many people will naturally ask a very reasonable question. If the quality of many builder-grade materials is not truly durable, why does this model still exist and become increasingly popular? The answer lies in the way the modern construction industry operates, and if we look closely, we will see 3 quite familiar mechanisms. First is standard materials, just enough to get by. In large-scale construction, every small detail is meticulously calculated for cost. Imagine a house with about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet of floor space. If a cheaper type of material costs only $3.05 per square foot, then when multiplied by the entire area, the difference can amount to tens of thousands of dollars for each house. Now, multiply that number by hundreds or thousands of houses in a project. That's why many developers choose the solution: construction standard materials, but at the lowest possible cost. Just like an airline optimizes every gram of luggage to save fuel, the construction industry also optimizes every square meter of material. Next is upgrade, where the real profits emerge. Interestingly, many projects do not just make money from the basic house. A significant portion of the profit comes from upgrade packages in the design center. For example, a type of flooring might cost around $4,000 when installed independently, but when it appears on the project's upgrade list, the price can increase significantly. Of course, there are also operational costs, warranty, and project management, but the reality is that many home buyers are willing to choose upgrades because they have already envisioned the beautiful version in the model home. Jokingly, it's like ordering a cup of coffee, then adding toppings, syrup, and cream. At first, it was just a cup of coffee, but in the end, it turned into a rather elaborate drink. Another factor that makes this system run smoothly is the payment method. Many upgrades do not need to be paid for in full right away. Instead, the costs are bundled into the mortgage loan. When broken down into monthly payments, the cost often feels lighter. A $10,000 upgrade can become a small part of the monthly payment, just like adding a few items to your online shopping cart without even noticing. And when we combine these three elements together, we see a fairly clear picture. The basic materials are cost optimized, upgrades add value options, and the payment method makes everything more accessible. This leads to an interesting paradox in the modern housing market. Luxury often lies in the visible aspects, while true quality is hidden behind the walls and floors. In your opinion, when buying a house, what should be prioritized more? The initial appearance or long-term durability? Because in the next section, we will look at another group of houses, those built many decades ago, and explore why many people still find them remarkably durable to this day. One interesting thing that appeared in many audience comments. Some people said, "My house was built in 1953, still as solid as a rock." Someone else shared, "My 130-year-old house still stands strong." It sounds a bit paradoxical, doesn't it? An old house over half a century, but it makes people feel much more at ease than a new house. So, what creates this difference? First of all, it must be said that wood from the past is different from wood today. In the past, many houses were built with old-growth wood from trees that had developed over hundreds of years. Those tree trunks grow slowly, with thick and hard wood fibers, like a book densely packed with text. Nowadays, most construction wood comes from fast-growing forests, where the trees grow faster, but the wood fibers are more sparse. To make it easier to visualize, old wood is like dense bread, while modern wood sometimes resembles fluffy bread. Next is craftsmanship. In the past, many houses were built by small teams of craftsmen. Their job was not only to complete the project, but also to protect their personal reputation. A house is like the signature of the craftsman. Nowadays, in large projects, the process often resembles an assembly line, more fast, synchronized, and optimized for progress. And also, the construction time. A house used to take many months, even years, to complete. Meanwhile, many modern projects can be completed in just a few months, like when you assemble a piece of furniture from many standardized parts. Faster, more efficient. But sometimes it makes people wonder, does speed always equate to quality? This does not mean that all new houses are poor quality or that all old houses are perfect, but it helps explain why many people are starting to look at the modern housing market with more caution. And if you are considering buying a new house, the next question is very important: how to avoid falling into the builder-grade version we just talked about. In the next section, we will discuss simple yet highly effective steps to avoid this trap. And now, we come to the most important question: does builder grade even exist? But rather, how to avoid accidentally falling into that trap. Fortunately, experienced home buyers often take a few fairly simple steps. Before getting swept away by the beauty of the model home, ask for the material specifications of the standard package. Imagine it like buying a phone. You don't just look at the exterior, you also want to know what chip is inside, how many mAh the battery has. The same goes for a house. Ask for details: type of kitchen cabinet, type of flooring, window model, appliance brand. A small piece of paper can sometimes reveal more than a model home tour. A common tip for many home buyers is to compare prices with outside contractors. Many aesthetic upgrades, such as flooring, lighting, and handles, can be done after moving in at a lower cost. Meanwhile, things that are difficult to change later should be considered from the beginning. Additionally, only upgrade things that cannot be added later. For example, ceiling height, garage expansion, electrical system, or plumbing. These things are like the skeleton of the house. And the decorative details are like clothes, they can be completely changed later. If you've ever bought or renovated a house, what surprised you the most during the process? Please share your experience below. It might help others avoid a few mistakes. Finally, there is something very interesting about the modern housing market. The model home is designed to make you feel something. Beautiful lighting, open space, details that make you imagine a future life. But the actual house you receive is built with a different goal, to be completed to standard and within budget. Those two goals are not always the same. So, when looking at a new house, sometimes the most important thing is not the color of the tiles or the type of lights, but the things you don't see immediately. Simply put, luxury often lies on the surface. The true quality lies in the structure. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next analyses on the housing market and major financial decisions in life. And remember, this content is for reference and sharing perspectives, not a substitute for professional advice in specific cases. And now I really want to know your opinion. Which era do you think houses were built to last longer back then or now? Let's discuss it together.